Hi. Now a question you've got to ask yourself is, are you a tosser or are you a hooker? There's only one way to find out. So let's get on with the build. So this week we'll be making a hook and ring game, which is a modern version of the old ringing the ball bar game. Starting with the base here, now there's no strict measurements to stick to, you just want something strong and stable enough for the game. So I found this nice scrap of oak that I'm going to cut up, and I went with about 12 inches in length or 30 centimeters, which should provide enough stability. And I used an old weight to mark out a circular profile on the corners. And with that shape drawn out, it was time to take it over to the bandsaw to rough cut the shape. Once the bulk of the waste was removed on the bandsaw, I took it over to the sander to clean up the curve. Now of course you don't have to be using old bits of oak to do this. Cutting up some 2x6 or 2x8 construction timber would work just as well. Once the base is cut to shape, it's time to find and mark the center point ready for drilling for the dowel. Using a center punch to ensure we drill the center mark. For the top I'm using some more oak offcut, but again construction timber would work just as well. And now we want to make it longer than the base, so I'm cutting it to about 15 inches or 40 centimeters. The thickness of the top or the base doesn't really matter, as long as it matches the style you're going for. And again, I'm using the same method as before, for marking a rounded curve on the piece. Paint tins, food tins, old weights, whatever will work to be able to make a curved shape. And once that shape's cut again, it's time to find the center. But what size hole you need to drill will depend entirely on what type of dowel you got. I started out with a 20mm oak dowel to match the oak top and bottom for this project, but I did later on change this out to a 18mm dowel, which I made some adapter plates to hold it in place. For the dowel length I went with about 12.5 inches or 32 centimeters. And to continue with the rounded off look, I used a roundover bit in my trim router to round off any sharp edges on both the base and the top. And it was time to get the top and base a good sanding. I went with about 240 grit. Once sanded, I marked a point 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters away from each end of the top board, which I used to then drill a 2mm hole all the way through on the drill press. The hole was just big enough for me to be able to thread a piece of string through. I pulled through at roughly about 13 inches, as I'll be cutting it to final length later on, and tied a knot on top to hold it in place. And then the same for the other end. Time for a dry assembly of each of the parts, with the dowel slotting into the base and the top. We can now tie a ring onto the dangling end of the string, measuring it so it swings just above the top of the base, without hitting it. And doing the same for the other side, trying to ensure they're both even lengths. You can use whatever you want for the rings, be it curtain rings, turning your own ring, or as I'm using here, some spare key rings. With the rings now stringed in place, we need to mark where the bottom of the ring will strike the dowel in its swinging arc, as this will be where we attach the hooks. You will find it easier to screw the hooks in place if you pre-drill a small hole through the dowel, making sure to keep the drill straight and level, and give it a test to ensure the ring can latch onto the hook. Now for this, I wanted to turn my own shot glass to act as the game counter. I wanted to start with some purple heart, but there seemed to be a big old crack that went through this piece, so it disassembled itself quite rapidly on the lathe. So unfortunately I had to change to a different piece of wood. Now this bit of course is optional, as you can just use a normal shot glass, but as I have a lathe I wanted to turn my own to keep it all a nice natural wood look. So after the purple heart exploded on me, I went with a simple Acadia spindle blank. First rough turn between centres so I can mount it in my dovetail chuck. Before I started to try and shape a rough shot glass look. I largely just guessed the size I wanted and carved a stem into the base. Then making sure to round over what would be the lip. And I stepped up through various sizes of Forstner bits to hollow out the centre. And again, taking time to clean up and round over the inside lip. And I carved in some simple line details to add as a decoration. For the finish, I went with beeswax and boiled linseed oil. And once that was done, it was time to just part it off the lathe. And the final piece, the paddleboard, I went with some more oak and drilled some 45mm holes to space out where the shot glass would be placed. Drilling 5 holes, just deep enough to be able to hold the shot glass. And I trimmed the board to roughly the same length as the base, and beveled all the edges to complete the look. And there we have it, completed and ready to play. The extra pieces are just some adapters I made to adjust the 20mm hole for the 18mm dowel. But as the woodworker life is quite a lonely one, I had no one to play the 2-player game with. So there was only one thing for it. The 3 paws packed their bags and hit the road. Come back. Looks like cheating.
Drink! No,
I know,
you
it's
had
got
to
come
go
off.
all the way. Drink.
Woo. Come back.
It's not for the food. Hey! Shovel off! You're cheating! He's cheating! There you go! Cheating!
Ow.
When you cheated, I cheated.
Thanks for watching, and if you liked it, give us a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon.